It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job, episode 101 today. I guess we should go with me first. My name's Mike. That's Brian.
Yep.
Our guest this afternoon is Andy Boggeri, owner of AB Construction. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thank you.
No, thanks for taking the time to come on with us today. We appreciate it. If you could kind of start us out, give us a little history on you, how you got started in this industry, and what led you to where you are now as owner of AB Construction.
Basically, I started my father was kind of in construction a little bit, and I kind of always loved working with my hands. So when I was young, I would during the summer I'd work with an electrician, work with a plumber. When I was like 7th and 8th grade, I started pretty young working, and then what ended up happening is when I was in a senior in high school, I actually started my own construction company back in '87. And, we were doing fences and stuff as a senior in high school. And then I built this at our school. We had a couple of high school students pass. So we built a deck, the senior deck, and it was all built by students. And it was a huge deck with all this, brick planters and barbecues and volleyball courts. And then after that, I started, I went to school at DVC and got my degree in construction management, construction technology, and just kind of went from there. And people just started calling, and we just kept going and going, and got my construction license really early on, and just went from there. It was so I guess something that was made to happen. So it was interesting. So basically, right from high school,
I was going to say, yeah, no lag time, no downtime or anything, right? Just from school right into it. That's pretty cool. What I mean, you started out kind of sounds like doing small side projects, residential stuff. What kind of work are you guys doing now?
Right now, we do a lot, pretty much everything. I mean, the housing market's very hot right now. So probably about 75% is we're remodeling homes for sale. And then somebody buys it, and then we tear it out, all the stuff we just did to make it for the new person. So it's absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of money out there, a lot of people, moving out. So probably about 70% of our work is light, is residential, bathroom remodels, additions. Now, because of COVID, everybody wants to add change their garage to an office, a gym, a man cave, woman cave, whatever you want to call that. So
she shed.
She shed. Exactly. Commercial obviously has slowed down a little bit, but we do small commercial TIs and stuff like that. But probably about 80% of our business is residential.
Are you guys pulling in a lot of that business, especially those homes that you're building stuff, flips, tearing it out, building? Is that through like real estate agents, or like what is that? How is that? Or the guy's moving out like, hey, you should call this guy. How does that happen? Yeah.
So what happens is probably I don't advertise. So everything's word of mouth and networking. So I work with about 75 to 80 realtors in the area, and they recommend me. So usually what happens is I go and fix it up to sell. And like I said, sometimes it's just a little lipstick or it's rouge, and then sometimes it's a lot. And then usually my name gets passed on to the buyers. And then, not all those change to or become clients, but a lot of them do. Yeah. So that works out really well. So a lot of them go through, clients, obviously just doing it for a long time. And then a lot of my friends that used to do it have retired. A lot of those baby boomers now, contractors have retired, and they pass my name on. So I get a lot of referrals from past contractors that don't do it anymore, or they don't do that. Another friend from high school doesn't do small stuff anymore. He just does, the big, $2-3 million jobs. But he started off small like me. I'm still doing small projects. So we get a lot of references. So we don't discriminate. We do jobs that sometimes are only, $250, $300 to go out and help people. And then, it goes up to the, the 3, 4, 500,000. We don't get any bigger than that.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like sometimes those $250, dollar jobs are it's kind of the foot in the door or kind of the goodwill. And they say, hey man, this guy did the small piece and I know he does bigger stuff. Let's give him a call.
Exactly. That's the funny thing, because a lot of times we do everything in house. So I don't sub out anything. We have our own electricians, our own plumbers, everything. So it makes it nice. And sometimes I'll go and I'll do some electrical. We'll replace their panel and get it all done. And then I'll go back the next week to check on something, and they got somebody doing their tile. I'm like, well, what are you doing tile for? We do that too. Oh, I didn't know that. So I have to educate a lot of my clients, and they forget about that. So, and then obviously because of COVID too, we had a lot of the home builders, as you know, during COVID, a lot of people decided to tear out their kitchens and their bathrooms. Yeah. And then you get there and it's like, oh, my bathroom's done. I want you to tile it for me. It's like, why do you have purple sheetrock where you're going to tile? He's, oh, that's the guy at Home Depot said to use. I'm like, well, that's not what we want. Just tear it out. And I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to work. So
that's funny. Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of those. The honey-do list gets a little bit bigger when everybody's staying at home all day, right? And it gets a little too intense for what they probably should be doing on their own.
Just call it.
It's ridiculous. And it's funny because everybody wants something, and, it's like, everybody wants a hot tub now, but, hot tubs are taking 3 to 4 months to come in, or they want a swimming pool, or everyone's stuck at home. So they think about what they could do to make their house better, which is great for me. So I'm not complaining.
Right. So from the marketing standpoint, you said you don't really market much. It's all kind of word of mouth. Is that deliberate? I mean, I guess let's back up a little bit. How many guys do you have in your team there out in the field working?
We have 20 to 25.
That's quite a few guys to keep busy.
Yeah, we do stay very busy. And I was kind of lucky during COVID. I was able to pick up a lot of my guys that got laid off that used to work for me that went to other companies. So I was able to actually pick up more people, which was great. And then a lot of my guys that stopped doing construction and went to go, do bartending or, pharmaceutical sales or something else. And then just, got laid off and ended up coming back. So it was great. But basically, I think the last time I advertised, like paid for something, was back in, I think 91 or 92. When you do a lot of advertising, and, we all do the Yelp and everything just because you have to, but it's not. The way I see it now, the way I've been in business enough time, is that when I go to a client's house, it's not that I'm just going there for them to meet me. I'm going there to meet them, because, there's a lot of
not all relationships work out. Yeah,
exactly. And people will complain about contractors and this and that, but you get a bunch of contractors in a room and they'll complain about the clients,
the homeowners,
the homeowners that are on their hands and knees, and they don't understand why you put a hole in the wall because they think that the wire magically, could get from one end of the house to the other. They don't know why there's a hole in the wall.
Everything's wireless now, right? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Tesla, just plug it in and your whole house lights up. So I've been lucky, and we keep a good, a lot of my clients, some of my realtors have been with me since the beginning. I mean, we joke about it, since, 87, 88, where, when I used to go to people's houses to do estimates, and people would say, no, I don't need the newspaper, because they thought I was the newspaper boy. So, but it's great. It's you keep, we try to keep everybody happy, and it helps, and, people pass us on, and that's the best way to get business. Because for me, when I get someone calls, we ask them where you heard from us. And the first thing we do a lot of times is we call that referral and say, hey, realtor, Jane, tell me about this person you referred to me. Oh, they're the greatest. They're so nice. You're going to love them. Or sometimes they'll say, oh, I gave them your name, but don't work for them. They're nuts. They're going to drive you crazy. Run away. Tell them you're busy. Double your prices, because it's going to be a pain. So it helps.
So it seems like that strategy is pretty deliberate for a couple of reasons. One, it sounds like you built a network where you don't really have to, because you've got enough work incoming. But two, it helps you kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of pre-qualify a lot of these leads and
choose who you want to work with,
and choose who you guys are working for. You're staying busy enough to keep 25 or 30 guys busy.
Yeah, I'm blessed with that, and it is great, and that's exactly why we do it. It helps us out, and I make it clear when I go to people's houses, especially on bigger projects, hey, I'm here to meet you, you're here to meet me. And because if you can't talk with somebody that you're going to be working with sometimes up to 6-7 months
right.
on a project, we're going to have it. It's not going to work out. So let's get that over with right now.
Right. So from a hiring standpoint, obviously you've got a few people back that you had history on recently. Prior to that, where are you looking for people? How are you finding them, especially in the field? I mean, it seems to be a gap in that labor market right now.
It is. It's really tough. I've been, again, lucky. A lot of my guys have been with me for, 10, 15 years. Some of them, 8. Most of my guys have been with me forever. And a lot of my people have come from my people. So if I have a good guy that works and he says, hey, my brother's looking for a job and he's, good, then we picked him up. And, I got this friend that just got laid off. You're going to like him. And we picked him. So a lot of most of my workers have come from references from workers that are already working for me. We really haven't. We've been, again, lucky that we have to go out because the job market is tough, and you don't know who you're hiring. And I really like to hire people that are coming from somebody that was already working for us that could vouch for them, because we're going into people's homes, nice homes in our area, and it's one employee could destroy my business.
Yeah.
So that's, most of my people have come from references from other workers. Probably about 90% of them have come from other employees or references from clients that work with me that said, hey, this guy is looking for a job. He just moved out here. And, we try to keep the employees, happy, do what we can so that, they stay around.
Well, the other added benefit there too, that I'm sure is just obviously comes with the territory, is you kind of have that second layer of accountability, right? I mean, it's not only is that person wanting to perform to stay busy, but they've got somebody else who vouched for them that's saying, hey, you better not screw this up because I'm the one who put your name out there for you, right? So you've got kind of a second layer of accountability there, which I'm sure helps quite a bit.
Exactly. It definitely helps because it puts two people liable. And
right.
and I think that's better than any resume that you can get. I mean, let's face it, someone comes into your office, you really can't ask them anything anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So
not in California, at least. Yeah.
Not in California. No, it's funny what I've been doing now with, I do get a lot of high school and college kids that come back and work for me over the summer. And a lot of them now are actually kind of working a lot more since they're not at school. So we do have some part-time help. They come in 3-4 days a week, and it's like you can't ask them anything. So now what I do is I hand them a couple blocks that I've already pre-measured in a tape measure, and I say, hey, can you measure this for me, just to see if they actually know how a tape measure works. And you'd be surprised some of the answers I've heard. It's like, oh, it's 3 and 2 little lines, 1 medium-sized line, and 1 big line. Or the best is I had a guy go out and measure some stuff, and I said, well, when you measure, just write it with chalk on the floor. So it was 10.5 or 10.4 inches. So I'm like, well, how did you get to 10.4? It's like, where is that on the tape measure? We're not the metric system, so I don't understand how you got this. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's funny you talk about that. We actually had a guy on really early on. I mean, way back 20s or 30s, somewhere in there. But he actually started a training class
on how to read a tape measure.
And I mean, among other things. But like his goal is to train a lot of those guys that have no idea. Because he said the same reason. Like he had somebody working for him that knew what he was doing and knew how to like read it himself, but when it came to relaying that information to somebody else, he was like, well, like you said, it's just like, I know that that's 4 little lines. I don't know that that's a quarter of an inch, right? Like that's just 4 little lines. Like it's 10 and 4 little lines. So trying to, yeah, it's, I'd imagine that's tough out there, but you kind of spoke to, having guys for a really long time and keeping them happy. What are some of those things you do to obviously keep them happy enough to stick around for that long?
I think, it's good for me and it's also bad for me. One is I'm very lenient. a lot of, if somebody calls up and says, hey, I can't come in today because of this and that, I don't throw a conniption or anything. I ask the guys to try to give a 24-hour notice, but sometimes stuff happens and they can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little flexible on that. I do pay their lunch. So, a lot of companies on your half-hour lunch break, you're not getting paid. I do pay that. I try to work with the workers on their hours. Some of my workers, because of traffic, want to start at 6 o'clock, 6:30. So I try to get them on those jobs as early as possible, and then so they can leave early. So I'm very flexible on that. We do have a retirement and 401k that people could do, and
That's awesome.
I do match that, which is important. I think that the main thing is that when a worker is in need, I help everybody, even though I get in trouble of it. Look, we all run down. I've been there. Everybody's been there. That something happened. They need a $500 loan or advance their paycheck. I don't think I've ever said. I think I've only said no to one person, but everybody else, I've helped them. Sometimes it comes back to bite me because they don't. Maybe they leave or don't pay back, but probably 95% have always, paid back or helped out when I helped them, came back. So I've also helped, some of my workers, get housing by co-signing, some of them helping them with deposits to get them in a good neighborhood and stuff like that. And that's important because, I want, them to be in a safe place. I want to be able to come to work and feel good, because when you own a home and stuff like that, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. So
yeah. I know you kind of, and you said it's a, good for you and bad for you, but I know you might see it as a vulnerability or something, but like when I hear that as somebody who cares about the people that they work for, that work for them. And I mean, as long as you're, I don't want to say careful, but like you're smart about how you're doing it. I mean, people don't tend to not take advantage of people like that, right? The people that get taken advantage of are the ones that, are a little bit more strict on a lot of those things. And so people feel like they have to do something extra to be able to, get by or make it or do whatever. You know what I mean? Like people don't steal. People rarely steal from the people that are willing to give them things and help them out as much as possible and be there for them when they need them. It's the people that are jerks that most of the time it gets stolen from, you know what I mean? Kind of to get back at you. So I think and especially with society the way it is now, right? Going towards, the mentality of a lot of people in society right now is that, that's kind of expected from which I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's you kind of got to do that to maintain relevancy and keep those people in house for as long as you can.
Yeah, and it's important because you want them happy. Don't get me wrong. I get mad and I yell and scream like anybody. I try to keep it as positive as possible. But I also tell my workers that they got to be like you said, honest and good too. I mean, we've had people test us like in not recently, but in the past. People would leave like $20 bill out on purpose to see if my workers would grab it or leave it on the ground. Or we've found jewelry at people's houses because a lot of times we're doing houses where people have the parents have passed away, and we have found silverware. I think the most expensive thing I found and turned over to it is, and it always, people forget to check the attics in the garage. And that's usually, or in the attics themselves. And in the garage, up in the attic, I found a bamboo fishing rod that was estimated at about $12,000.
Wow!
That they never even knew that their dad had it. And of course, he didn't want them to know he had it, so he hid it, but never told anybody. And I came down and I said, "Hey, I got this old fishing rod." And they looked at it. They go, "Oh, would you want it?" I go, "You're going to want to have this appraised. It's really expensive." Another people, they they threw out this Persian rug, and I said, I don't know if you want to throw that away. That looks like a nice rug. Oh no, my dad would never spend money on anything. And I said, well, I got a guy that'll come out and appraise it for you just to double check. It ended up being a $25,000 Persian rug, which they had dry cleaned, and it got rolled up, and they never unrolled it again because they were so worried about hurting it. But that's a good thing, and that word travels. It travels to people. That helps us also.
That level of integrity, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some of? I know. I was going to ask you about some challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis, but I'm thinking back to when we talked. Well, either it was last week or the week before, trying to schedule this, and was it your office manager that I was speaking with, or
Yes.
She'd mentioned that you weren't available earlier this week because you were boarding up because of the election and stuff. So how's all that kind of gone down, and what were the?
Yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, it was nothing like. So my office is in Walnut Creek, and obviously during the first protests back in, I guess it was March with Floyd, that was really bad. We were boarding up. We work with some of the big chains through property management company. So we were doing Best Buys and big names like this, and that was probably the craziest of times. And we went through almost $30,000 in plywood.
Wow.
800 sheets. I mean, we had a Best Buy that somebody stole a forklift and drove the forklift right through the front of the storefront of Best Buy, and then put it in reverse and ripped it out. And we were basically had every person for 3 days working 10 to 12 hours a day. We even had like people coming and volunteering, wives and girlfriends coming down and like people were bringing us food, and we were literally driving around with pickups of plywood. We just pull up in the middle of the street and throw out 10 sheets here, drive down, throw out another 10 sheets. It was very, very, very hectic, very stressful. This has been a little bit different, and I'm very happy for it. We did not as much boarding up. We had about 300 sheets delivered, and we're returning a lot of them. People were a little panicking. They were worried that there would be some civil unrest. Most of the chains are still keeping their plywood up for now, probably until next week. But it wasn't as bad. Everyone was on pins and needles.
All right.
25% of the people did it. A lot of the people kept their plywood and just put it back up. But we're lucky so far that nothing has occurred in any of our the cities that we work in.
That's good. That's crazy, man. So how did you become one of those people out there doing that? Was that something you guys volunteered to do, or how did? Yeah.
It's funny. What happened was when I knew when it happened, we got calls to board up for the Floyd protests, the BLM protests, and I just had this bad feeling. So I called and I had all my guys pick up as much plywood as they can, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to do something for the community. So we made a little flyer and we passed it out saying, hey, we're going to board you up. We're going to drop our rates down $75 an hour. We're going to charge you exactly what the plywood costs, and we'll get you boarded up. Well, everyone just went nuts and started calling. And then we started to get our normal customers calling on top of that. And that's when it all went. But we basically, obviously we didn't lose money, but it wasn't like we were charging extra money.
Right,
we were trying to be fair. We helped out everybody. A lot of that plywood that was used, I wish I had it because I don't know if you know, but plywoods have doubled since then.
Yep.
We donated a lot of that plywood back to a lot of the restaurants to use for platforms for outdoor seating, eating. We donated a lot of the plywood out to a lot of the scraps of the wood were given away to different organizations that were, I don't know what they were doing with them, but, making birdhouses or, things like that. So we basically just, reached out to everybody. And it was, again, by doing that, it turned around into more work from us. Next thing
I was going to say that's, and I know you say you don't market, but that's almost a level of marketing right there, right?
It is. It's grassroots marketing. And, we did, we went and took care of a lady at the spa, and then next thing you know, I'm at this lady's house and we're doing an ADU unit for her. And then We did a restaurant, and when some of these restaurants didn't have the money, so we were doing even, interchange, to help out because, they were hurt so bad. And now, we're doing a big project for the restaurant owner that he bought a new house in Alamo. It needs a lot of work, and we're going to be helping him out with that. So yes, it definitely, you give unconditionally, and it will come back.
That's awesome.
How's it been with, obviously this is a huge part of COVID, but in terms of initially, I know that you guys being up north probably had to deal with the county shutdowns and all that. So how has that been kind of recouping from that? How were your guys affected? What was the sense like back then and now and today?
Well, I'll tell you, it's, with every challenge, you have to think of the way to think out of the box. And again, I was very lucky because when that happened and all the other construction companies were closing down, I was thinking out of the box. How can we do this? How can we make it work? How can we keep everybody working? And we did. We actually hired 7 or 8 people when COVID was at its max. You had to work, know the rules. So, for example, counties would say you're not allowed to work at the house, but there was a fine line that said if this is his primary residence, then you could ask for permission to work at the house. Huh. So we had people that were going to be moving into this house soon. So we had them write a letter, and we would take that to the city or to the county and say, this gentleman's going to be moving into his house on May 1st. And if we don't finish it by May 1st, he's going to be homeless. So we were able to get 5 or 6 projects okayed. We would keep people distance. We had a lot of houses that were empty because they were in the middle of remodeling. Right. And we would go in and just have 2 guys work on one side, 2 guys work on the other. A lot of my employees are family members, so I have brothers at work. I have family members, so we'd keep that crew together.
Yeah.
So, they were living with each other anyway, so we knew they were okay. It was difficult with a lot of getting the permits. We were lucky that we had a lot of permits passed before that happened. It was very challenging on the inspections because some cities were not doing it. So a lot of them, again, because we have the relationships, we know the inspectors, hey, can you come out and do it? Oh yeah, I'll come out. I don't care. Some inspectors would 10 feet away go, well, I thought it was 6. I'm the inspector. I say 10 feet away. So that made it challenging. And just the nice thing about it during that time was obviously, there was no traffic. It was a lot long. It took longer to get materials. And then obviously now materials are hard to come by because so much went on. And, but it was a cost. I bought 55-gallon drums of hand sanitizer, 55-gallon drums of disinfectant spray because you couldn't find it, so we could be prepared. And obviously now we all found out that a lot of this stuff's not really needed as we thought, but we had it all. We were using it. Yeah. But it was tough. A lot of paperwork, a lot of guidelines that had to be put up, and a
lot of changing guidelines that changed almost daily.
Yeah. Every day there was something new, and we were working with a lot of realtors, and that they had their own set of rules when you could go in the house, and anytime we went into the house, we had to disinfect everything on the way out. It was challenging. Now it's obviously loosened up a little bit, but the challenges now are just more, getting materials, because a lot of materials are, skyrocketing. There's still longer lines at the stores because I think a lot of the lumber yards and stuff just can't get the amount of people, because usually there'd be 10 cashiers or people checking out within 5 feet of each other, and now they have to space them out. So that's been a little bit of a challenge.
What's it like with permitting right now?
Permitting is terrible right now. It's really
I thought maybe it might be better, but
yeah, no. So they won't, you can't go in and meet with them like you used to. And, you go in and you show your plans and they say something and you can make a little red line and make some changes right there and there. Now everything goes in electronically. You wait, you call, you wait, and everything is, the only place that's taking is like a sanitary. You drop it off in a box outside, you come back the next day, you pick it up. But all the cities are doing everything electronically. And it's just hard because it's taking a lot longer. It's kind of a bummer because it is holding up a lot of our projects.
Well, at least you have the day turnaround on the box. We talked to somebody a while back, kind of right in the middle of it all, and he said that at that point they had to drop it off. Yeah, they were quarantining the plans. So you dropped them off, and they said, she goes,
for 10 days,
because he said,
days.
yeah, no, I dropped these off in this box or whatever, a couple of days. And she goes, no. When you drop those off, they sit in that box for 2 weeks or whatever it was until we can move it to this box, which is where we can touch them and actually look at them now. And he was just like, what in the
that never happened out to us. I mean, working electronically, it's, that's a little bit, obviously.
You would think that almost make it faster, but I'm sure that's probably just because of the manpower that they don't have right now. But that might be a good thing for the future, right? Once they can become a little bit more efficient, that the electronic process hopefully would make this whole thing a little bit easier for you guys.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is a lot of these cities now are because of budget cutbacks have do outsourcing. So they don't even, a lot of them don't even look at your plans. It gets outsourced to an outside agency that looks at them. And what's their job? Their job is to find something wrong with your plans and send it back.
Right.
So, and a lot of those times, those little things could have been fixed right there at the counter.
Yeah.
So, sometimes now the plans will bounce back once or twice, with little changes here and there, but it is it's something that we're getting used to, and hopefully sooner we'll get better. But everyone has to deal with it. So.
Yep. So how has your role evolved? I mean, you're one of the few that has kind of just taken it since the very beginning, like as a teenager, right? And evolved into now running a pretty big company for employing a number of people. But what's your, obviously back, when you started, you were in the field and you were, swinging the hammers and cutting the wood and doing all that stuff. But where are you at now? What on a day-to-day basis? What is your role daily?
I mean, usually probably about 70% of the time I'm here in the office. Unfortunately, I get stuck doing more of the paperwork now, the estimating and day-to-day billing and talking to people. And the other part is mostly estimating, going out and meeting the people, talking to them. Every once in a while, I get to go out and get sweaty and dirty. I still crawl underneath houses. I'm still doing stuff on the weekends for emergency calls. And I get dirty, trust me. I was under the house the other day and where I thought I wished I had lost about 10 pounds. It was a little tight for me to do some stuff. But I mean, I still go out and I still fix things. I still, when there's a problem that one of my guys can't figure out or something's wrong, I'll go out and help them with the electrical or the plumbing or some questions people want to bounce off me. The nice thing is technology does help now because, we all have camera phones. So sometimes I don't need to go there. They show me what's going on. Half the pictures of my phone are just, a picture of a 2x4 or something, or a header or something like that. They're not interesting pictures at all. But because of that technology, it makes it a lot easier for us. We could be at one place and I could go to 5 different job sites. The nice thing is too, I think what makes us successful is we try to keep we keep a very small area. Sometimes our jobs are literally 2 blocks from each other. Wow. So if we need some materials, they could bounce over to the other place and maybe pick up an extra 2x4 there that they're not using. So that helps us out to keep things going. But don't get me wrong. Yes, it's fun, but I'm up at 5. I start emailing people at 5:30. And usually I get home and take a little break and then start texting and emailing people for the next day. So it's work, but I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy it. I like the being busy. I am definitely a workaholic, but this is a job that, you get to give people, you make their dreams come true. They have something in their mind. They see it on paper. We help them go through it. My sister was giving me a hard time the other day. She goes, because we did a job, and she goes, "Well, did you do it or your workers did it?" It doesn't matter. I said, I'm the one that do the drawings and figured out how to do it. It's like the architect is, the contractors just build it, but the architects and the people that draw it up are really the ones that are making the dreams come true. So it's nice, and every day, usually, you leave the job, you see something that's been done. You could see progress. So, it's very rewarding, I think.
Yeah. You guys have design people on staff?
Yeah, we have some people in-house that help all our customers. Again, this is a help because a lot of people will spend, thousands and thousands of dollars. Now we do have outside people that we work with that will sub out or give names to, but a lot of these kitchen designs and bathroom designs and stuff we do in-house. So we'll send them to some of the showrooms we work with. They'll look at it. We'll go over to the house. We'll show different materials and give them websites that they could look at and stuff, and then we help them. And I think our designs are really good. I really think that what we do is, I think some of our bathrooms and kitchens are spectacular.
Well, it helps to keep them more reasonable too, right? And
exactly.
The expectations realistic, right? If you're the one designing and building it, you know what you can do, what's easy, what's going to work and what's going to make it most cost effective for them.
Exactly. Like, whether we're at a job right now and that they want a door right here. And, anybody would have known that down below that door is bathrooms. So, okay, you want a door here? Let's open it up and see. Well, I knew what was going to be in there. There was like 17 pipes and vent pipes and drainage pipes and water pipes, and then all the electrical conduit coming down there. And the nice little designer looks at me and she goes, "Well, gee, why is all that there?" "Oh, I don't know. Just some water, some drainage, some electrical. I don't know. And what are all these blue wires?" "Oh, yeah, you got all your IT coming through here too. That's all your phone lines." She's,
Cat 5 and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, all the Cat 5. Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. So what's the future look like for you guys? Where are you planning to head? I mean, it sounds like you've built a pretty good, I don't want to say comfortable, but you're pretty grounded where you're at and you're getting pretty good business. Is there a desire to do bigger, more complex stuff, or maybe grow geographically?
No, you know what? We just want to stay where we're at, because you get to a certain point and you can only grow so much without, at this point right now, I'm very happy where we are. We have a good area we're working in. We're comfortable. We have a good staff. Would I like to add a couple more people? Probably. But, to do anything more or get bigger, I'd probably have to, start getting a full-time estimator.
Yeah. Requires more infrastructure.
Yeah. So I'm kind of happy where it is right now. We have plenty of work. We're very busy. Everyone's, staying busy. So I think at this point, I don't want to branch out, because once you go out, once you leave that comfortable territory, it's more traffic, more driving. Your guys aren't used to, and then you're going to different lumber yards and supply houses they're not used to. Everybody likes to walk in and say, "Hey, Jim, I need this," and they hand it to you,
right?
Or you could call up and order it beforehand. So I think right now we're happy where we are. The bigger projects actually scare me. We've been given full houses and, full on, big monster jobs. And I just honestly just passed on them. So I'm very happy with the larger remodels, full house remodels or large additions. But, anything other than that, I'll just let the other guys do it.
Very cool, man. Well, we appreciate the time. It's been fun. I love hearing that story from, growing from, like right out of high school. That's
7th, 8th grade.
A lot of people start early, but none of them, very few, I don't want to say none, very few of them actually had their own company that early, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to hear that kind of stuff. But before we let you go, want to let the people know where to find you if they want to get a hold of you for anything. Email, website, or what?
We're our website is AB Construction East Bay. Because unfortunately, I was the first to have AB Construction. Now there's like A-B. A dot.
It's that Yellow Pages mentality, right?
Exactly.
Like, obviously, yours is your name, but
A-B.
Exactly. Mine is my name. I didn't think anything about the telephone book when I did it. And everyone said, "Oh, that was so smart of you." And I said, "Oh, really? Why?" "Well, you're the first in the Yellow Pages." And I did advertise in the Yellow Pages the first time, but we get this. There's an AB Construction out here that has these big dump trucks. And we get calls from people screaming at us. And we've actually gotten video sent to our phone where like the drivers, cut them off, and they send us your driver. And we actually have like all these other companies, and people call. We go, ma'am, did it have a yellow logo on it? Okay, this is the number you need to call. And sometimes they won't hang up. I mean, they're screaming, and this is the funniest story. This guy calls. He got in an argument with the driver, and it was him and his buddy, and they obviously just left the bar, and they're drunk. And they're fighting with the driver, the dump truck driver, who's Hispanic, and screaming back and forth at each other, and saying very bad words in Spanish about, I'm going to take your camera, because they were filming him. I'm going to take your camera and put it where the sun never shines. This guy's yelling back to him. So these guys leave this message and send this video. And so the next day I call them up and I said, hey, you left a message about this and that. And they just, what? I did? So we sent it back, their message, and they were just so drunk they don't even remember what happened. But yeah, so we're in Walnut Creek, and we service the Bay Area, mostly the East Bay. So our website is abconstruction eastbay.com. Our phone number is 925-708-2491. And you could Google us. We're all over the place. We got a good rapport on all the different websites and stuff like that. So
awesome,
very cool, Andy. Well, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. We appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us, and hopefully see you down the road at some point.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys for all your time, man. Too.
Thanks, Andy.
Stay safe.
All
right. Have a good one.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.